Hi everyone, welcome to Ask Mark, our scuba diving Q&A, where I'm Mark, a former scuba diving instructor, do my very best to answer your scuba diving questions. So if you do have any scuba diving questions, pop them down in the comment section underneath this video, and if you use this Ask Mark hashtag in your comment, it gets yourself and your question featured in an up and coming video. But I do actually type out an answer in the comment section as soon as I see it, so that you do get an answer and you don't have to wait for the video to come out. Today I'm answering a question from Whiskey about buoyancy and weighting. So Whiskey says, hi Mark, when ascending and holding at the 3-meter mark, I'm having to kick to stay there. Does this mean that I'm overweighted? So it depends. When you say kick to stay there, I don't really know if you're kicking upwards or downwards. I've seen both in my experience. It's usually kicking upwards. Kicking downwards usually means you have far too little weight. If your BCD is completely empty and you need to swim up to stay at 3 meters, you might be a touch heavy and too much weight on your weight belt. That might be the case. You should be able to hover comfortably with a near empty cylinder at 3 meters with an empty BCD. However, that being said, it completely depends on you, the water, your dive equipment configuration, because I mean, I've known some people require quite a lot of lead to actually get under the water compared to the other end of the spectrum, and they don't need any lead to get down. It all just depends on your body composition, your buoyancy, your equipment's buoyancy, the water. It has a lot of factors. The best thing to do is to do a comprehensive buoyancy check. So most divers are taught that like initial buoyancy check when you first jump into the water, empty BCD, exhale, or like hold a normal breath, and you should hold at like eye level, or I think it changed to like head level at some point, but that's kind of arbitrary. The best way to do a proper full-on comprehensive buoyancy check is either at the end of the dive, or try and get your hands on a pretty empty cylinder, like a 50 bar empty cylinder, and with a buddy in nice, safe, shallow water, just empty all of the gas out of your BCD and any of your dry suit as well, and just see if you can hover at 3 meters depth. So you want like somewhere that's about 5 meters deep, because if you are overweighted, you don't want to go too far, and you just somewhere safe basically. And yeah, fully kitted up, just so that you know what it's going to be like in the same water as well. So going from fresh to salt water, your buoyancy changes. But yeah, you should be able to just breathe normally and just hover there with a completely empty BCD and near empty cylinder, because that's when your cylinder is the least buoyant. And if you find that you're sinking, then just take a block of lead off of your weight belt, hand it to your buddy, and then try again. And keep doing that. Keep taking lead off of your weight belt until you can just sort of like hover at 3 meters. You can stay under the water without having to swim up or swim down. If you are finding that you are like having to swim upwards with a completely empty BCD, then yeah, chances are you just got too much lead on your weight belt, which isn't unusual. Most divers, when they're first learning to dive, they naturally hold a bit more gas in their lungs, so you're a bit more buoyant, you're a bit more apprehensive. Dive instructors tend to put some dive instructors tend to put a bit too much lead on some students, because it's really hard to just gauge from looking at someone. You can gauge roughly how much they're going to need, but it's often easier to put a little bit too much on, because then they're definitely going to sink, but they can compensate with their BCD. Whereas if it's too little, then you either both have to get out of the water, you have to adjust your weights. It's a lot extra work when you're training. So a lot of divers just carry that number with them after they're qualified, or actually once they relax into things and just like continue on with their natural diving, you'll be surprised at just how little lead you actually need. And it depends on your equipment configuration, your body composition, the water as well. So yeah, the best thing to do is to try and get like a real baseline. This is how much lead I need in this like equipment configuration with this wetsuit and this water type. And then if you do dive somewhere else, you can tweak it and adjust it. If you're going from fresh to salt, then you add a little bit more lead, usually about 2 kilos, the vice versa, and yeah, just take it from there. But if you are like swimming to stay at a safety stop, yeah, you can always put a bit of air in your BCD. Just be prepared to get rid of it as you ascend. But otherwise, yeah, it probably means that you have a bit too much lead. Doesn't necessarily mean that, unfortunately, but yeah, the best thing to do is a full comprehensive buoyancy check with a buddy somewhere safe, and see just how little lead you actually need to get down. Yeah, it's tough because a lot of divers are overweighted when they first start, and that has quite a few negative effects. It actually increases your breathing rate because you're adjusting your BCD more frequently to adjust for that additional lead. So you might find that you're putting a lot of wasted gas into your BCD, where once you get your weight down, you actually don't need to inflate your BCD. You might be able to put like a little bit into your BCD, but the more that you put into it at the deepest part of the dive, the more that's going to expand and the more you're going to have to purge, and that's breathing gas that you're just wasting. So it's important to get a proper weight check done and just know that you have just the right amount of lead on your weight belt. But any other questions, pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Remember to like, share, subscribe, do all that good social media stuff. Use that AskMark hashtag if you are typing a comment and you do want me to respond. Otherwise, the other subscribers do, and they do have quite good recommendations. It's quite rare, if ever, that I contradict anything that people have said. But yeah, otherwise head over to our website scubadivermag.com, see all the interesting magazine articles that we do. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.